Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another edition of NoDQ&A video. This is episode number 394. Thank you for checking out the video today. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep spreading the word, trying to reach 40,000 subscribers by January 1st. With that being said, let's get down to your questions via spring.me/AaronRift. First one today comes from CocoX20. Let's say they go with Roman Reigns as the guy to end the streak. Because, well, yeah, he could be the next face of the company. But do you see the spear as a believable finisher to end it? I've gotten a lot of questions about Roman Reigns possibly being the guy to end the streak, so I figured I'll talk about that today. First off, regarding Roman Reigns facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania and that idea in general, I've talked about this before. I'm not really a big fan of The Undertaker facing the Shield at WrestleMania. I think it's best to have Undertaker in a one-on-one match. Now, could you have Roman Reigns be the guy that faces Undertaker one-on-one? Absolutely. I think that one thing you would need to do is continue to build up Roman Reigns as a singles competitor. I don't know if there's enough time now between this point and WrestleMania to really establish him as a singles wrestler, but it is possible they could do it. I don't know if this year's the right year to do it. Maybe 2015 would be a better time to have Roman Reigns and him against Undertaker, get him in a position where he's over enough as a single star that he could be a credible threat to The Undertaker, because that's another issue. Can you have somebody built up strong enough to where you really believe they could beat The Undertaker? I think they could do it with Roman Reigns, definitely. If they pushed him really strong in 2014, had him win some big titles, maybe even have him win the world title at some point if he gets to that level, he would be a great contender to face The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Now, regarding the spear being a believable finisher, I definitely think that that's a great finisher for Roman Reigns, and it could very well win the finisher of the year on NoDQ.com, and people buy into it. When he hits it, it is very devastating, and it definitely is a good move for him, and he does it well. And yeah, I have no real issue with the spear being a finisher to end the streak. I mean, it's beaten a lot of guys already, and I'm sure more guys will get beaten with it in due time. So I think the spear is fine, and maybe you could have another move for him, or maybe even a submission move. Have as many moves as possible built up so that there's different possibilities for how the Undertaker streak might end. All right, this one comes from WrestlingDo95. Hey Aaron, even though Shane McMahon was not a former wrestler, I believe he is an incredible performer throughout his WWE career with his daredevil leaps he did. What did you think? I agree with you 100%. Shane McMahon could have just been a guy that was the boss's son and got to be in any match he wanted to be in on any pay-per-view. But Shane McMahon, when he had those opportunities, he went out there and he busted his ass. He took bumps that a lot of wrestlers wouldn't want to take. And Shane, I think of those matches with him and Kurt Angle and the match with Test at SummerSlam. Shane held his own, and he did some crazy stuff in the ring. In my opinion, he earned his position as a performer on the show, and having a pay-per-view spot. I 100% feel that he deserved to be there, and he didn't just coast along being the son of Vince McMahon. All right, this one comes from JSummer40. Hey Aaron, what do you think of a feud between AJ Lee and Mickie James at WrestleMania 30? That is definitely interesting. I haven't heard anything about Mickie James wrestling again, and especially wrestling at WrestleMania 30, but I think it would be a very nice touch because it is WrestleMania 30 after all. It's a milestone event. Why not bring back a major diva from the past to go against AJ Lee? It sounds like a good idea on paper to me. And considering the fact that she's been on good terms with WWE and she's at the Performance Center, I would not rule out the possibility of that match happening. Tweet WWE, let them know you want to see that match, and maybe it'll happen. It would definitely. I would like to see AJ in there with a big name. Give the Divas title some credibility at WrestleMania in a key match. If not Mickie James, even Trish Stratus or Lita, whoever you could get. I mean, I'd love to see AJ Lee against any number of divas from the past that were big stars. I think it would be very fitting for WrestleMania. All right, this one comes from Bucci9. Hey Aaron, sort of a late night thought, but what sense did it make by having Mr. McMahon versus Triple H and not Test? I mean, Vince being more over than Test at the time, but Test was still pretty over as well. Why not make two superstars in one match? Thanks. That is a great question, and unfortunately, WWE, for whatever reason, gave up on Test, and he had so much momentum. And this goes back earlier to that match with Shane. That SummerSlam match was a great match, and I don't know if a lot of people were expecting that from Shane McMahon and Test, but Test really got over good in that match, and it's just a shame that WWE didn't follow up with that. I mean, once they did the wedding angle with Triple H and Stephanie, the whole storyline shifted from Test versus Triple H to Triple H and Vince McMahon, and then that was just very unfortunate for Test. That pretty much killed his momentum. I still to this day don't know why they didn't do the Triple H and Test feud. I think they may have had one match and then just blew Test off and put him in TNA, and he was never the same after that. And I'm not talking about TNA the organization, I'm talking about TNA the faction with A-Train, Albert, Tensai, whatever you want to call him. This one comes from Sticky B. Hey Aaron, do you believe that Brian Kendrick should have been more of a singles competitor? Please answer. He should have been more as a singles competitor. Please answer in video. Keep up the good work. To be honest, no. I remember that they did give him a big match. He was part of the Scramble match in 2008. And it was weird when he won and was the interim WWE champion or whatever they were calling it. It just didn't sound right. And the thing about Brian Kendrick, very talented wrestler, great high flyer, all that, but he's just not that credible because of his size. And, I don't want to sound like Vince McMahon that you have to push the big guys, but, he was just too skinny, and, he looks like a guy that maybe I could even take him. And if I could take him, that's saying something. I think that he was good in a tag team role with Paul London, and I think that was the best way to utilize him. But as far as being an upper mid-carder to even a main eventer, I think that was pushing it just a little bit. But, I'm happy that he did get that opportunity at least to be in a high-profile match at the Unforgiven pay-per-view in that Scramble match. All right, this one comes from Jeroen Inc. Do you think that the Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ricky Steamboat match at WrestleMania 3 is overrated? I just watched the match again, and only in the beginning I found the match to be good, to be honest. Well, first of all, it's unfair to compare that match to the matches of today. The thing about Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat that made that match so special was that it was groundbreaking for the time, and it was really before its time. That was an era of the Giants. That was when you had Andre the Giant and all the big guys, and the matches were very slow-paced, and there wasn't a lot of technical wrestling. Savage and Steamboat, for the first time in that mid-'80s cartoon WWF, they went out there and just had a very technical match, did a lot of high-flying, did stuff that you didn't normally see in the big WWF matches of the 80s. They really broke ground, and, they were the first guys to have that kind of match on a WWF pay-per-view. And, guys like Chris Jericho were heavily influenced by that match, and so many others. A lot of people would consider that match to be one of their all-time favorites. A lot of the current guys like Jericho, and I'm sure the list goes on and on. It was just a match that inspired a lot of people, and, for the first time you got to see more athleticism in a big WWF match, and it was about the wrestling, not as much as the star power as it was the actual wrestling. All right, that'll do it for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Check out NoDQ.com for the year-end awards. Keep casting your votes, and check out the videos, myself and Jeff Meacham discussing each category and giving our picks. And like I said at the beginning, subscribe if you haven't already. Keep spreading the word. Trying to reach 40,000 by January 1st. And before I go here, I got one more question from Bork Laser. Do you feel like the 3-hour Monday Night Raw experiment has been a failure? Do you think Raw will ever go back to 2 hours? Please answer in video. Every now and then I get asked this question, should Raw go back to 2 hours? From a creative standpoint, absolutely. The 3-hour Raws, for me, they've dragged more times than not, and it becomes a chore. I think that 3 hours is just too much to sit down and watch wrestling. I think 2 hours is perfect. Maybe even an hour and a half. 3 hours is just, it's too much. It's too much stuff to try to remember and pay attention to. But in terms of from a financial standpoint, the ratings have held up. They have gone down during the football season, but that's how they've always been. They've always gone down in the fall. But, the 3-hour Raws have been holding up in the ratings, and USA Network is happy with everything. So I think as long as the ratings stay at a good level, WWE's going to keep doing the 3-hour Raw. So, I mean, that's the reality with that. So with that being said, I'll see you guys next time for more NoDQ&A video.